Hi scholars, my name is Kayla Dillon. Some of you may know me as Miss Dillon. I'm a third grade teacher at Erickson Elementary here in Ypsilanti. I live in Ypsilanti. I've been here since I was in third grade, so 8 years old was when my family moved to Ypsilanti. Today I'm going to be reading a book called A is for Aloha, but before I do that, I want to share a little bit about myself. If you didn't know, it's May, and May is a celebration month, and we celebrate Asian and Pacific Islanders in this month. So I picked this book, A is for Aloha, because we talk about the Pacific Islands, Hawaii, and I am from a Pacific island. Now I'm not from Hawaii, I am from an island called American Samoa. And when you look at the world, it seems close, but it's actually pretty far away. It's about a 6-hour flight, so it takes a really long time to get from Hawaii to Samoa, and even from Michigan to Samoa. So I haven't been since I was 2, but I plan on going next summer with COVID if borders open. So today I'm going to read a book called A is for Aloha. I'm in my classroom here at Erickson. Again, before I read that, I'll share a little bit about my classroom and why celebrating Asian and Pacific Islander Month is really important. This is my classroom. This is the back of the classroom where all of our books are, and posters, and some flags you'll see in the back. And what these flags and posters mean to our class is diversity and inclusion. Every morning our class says, diversity and inclusion makes the world a better place. And all these posters represent people from so many different identity groups. So they represent people from different racial identity groups. They represent people from different religious identity groups, so many walks of life, because we believe that it's important to learn about other people, get along with other people, and make sure that everyone feels welcome and safe and included. And so here's our first story. A is for Aloha. It's a Hawaiian alphabet story. It's written by Uilani Goldsberry and illustrated by Tammy Lee. What's nice about this book is it's written by a Pacific Islander, and it's about Pacific Islands. My class calls that an own voices story. That means the person who wrote the book is telling it from a perspective of someone who shares the same identity group. And in this case, that would be racial identity, Pacific Islander. Now today I'm just going to read the alphabet part, but there are so many extra information pieces in this book. I suggest you go to your local library and check this book out so you can learn more about each page. A is for Aloha. Aloha is our letter A. It means so many things. Hello, goodbye, and love to you. Fair wishes this word brings. B is for state bird. The nene is a Hawaiian goose with feathers beige and brown. It lives atop great volcanoes and never goes to town. Did you all know that the Hawaiian Islands were formed from volcanoes? It's pretty cool, huh? C is for capital. Hawaii's capital, Honolulu, is like a jewel so bright it shines against the lush green mountains and sparkles in the night. D is for the dance of hula. There are 2 styles of hula, one older than the other. The kahiko is the ancient one. The awana is the younger. In my culture, which is also Pacific Island, we have a dance too. It's called siva. E is for other forms of energy. The trade winds shear the ridges and spin the windmills around. They turn the energy of the sky into electricity for our towns. These are wind turbines. We have them in Michigan as well. They are a way to get a source of renewable energy for our Earth. It's better than using coal and oil, and we'll always have wind on our Earth, so it's renewable in the fact that we'll never run out. F is for state flower. Our F is the yellow hibiscus. So delicate and so fair, its hues are like the sunshine, a state flower beyond compare. Hibiscus are my favorite flower. G is for state gem. The black coral of Hawaii grows in the deepest sea. It's the color of young lava and looks like a leafless tree. H is for the Hokulea. Hawaii's Hokulea is a modern voyaging canoe. It catches the wind in triangular sails like the ancient ones used to do. If you've ever seen the movie Moana, Moana is about the people from the Pacific Islands, and you see her traveling when she's looking for Maui on a canoe. So a lot of the Moana movie is taken from ancient stories from a lot of the Pacific Islands. Much like the canoe you see here. Hers was a little bit smaller. I is for the Iolani Palace. Iolani Palace is the home of Hawaii's kings. It's the only palace in America where the echo of the monarchy rings. J is for Jasmine Princess, Kaiulani, favored child of Hawaii, named Jasmine blossoms for her peacocks and called them sweet pikaki. It's interesting because pikaki in the Samoan language is the word for mackerel fish. K is for King Kamehameha. King Kamehameha joined both honor and fame. He united all the islands under one benevolent reign. L is for leis. Hawaii's leis begin with L, sweet flowers sewn in garlands, a ring of greetings and love that celebrate the islands. I know sometimes we see in movies when people travel to Hawaii that they get laid when they get off the plane to welcome them to the islands, but leis are also used in celebrations as well, like graduations or weddings, other things like that. We use them too. They're called ulas in my language. M is for sea mammals, dolphins, seals, and whales. Mammals of the sea ply the channel waters between the islands of Hawaii. N is for natural resources. Natural resources are letter N, the exports of Hawaii. Pineapple, coffee, and sugarcane help fuel our state's economy. So what they're saying here, the natural things that they grow on the island, they can send out. That's what export means. And when they send them out, people pay for them. Like things like pineapple, coffee, sugarcane, that also may not be as easy to grow here in the States. O is for Oahu. Most of Hawaii's people live on the island of Oahu. They play in Waikiki and go to work in Honolulu. So Hawaii is several islands. It's not just one, like many of our states are just one piece of land. Hawaii has several pieces of land, but the main one is Oahu, and that's where most of the people live. P is for the Polynesians. Polynesian explorers braved the open sea, traveling through wind and blinding sun. They discovered Hawaii. So again, like in the movie Moana, where they talk about her ancestors being voyagers, that really is the story of the Polynesians, which is what I am. So you might hear some people say Pacific Islander to describe who they are, or you might hear Polynesians. So Hawaii and American Samoa are two islands of many Polynesian islands. And this is the story we tell about our ancestors and how we came to each island. Q is for queen. Hawaii's last queen, Lili Uokalani was her name, lost her throne to businessmen, but her heart they could not claim. So there was a queen of Hawaii. Hawaii was filled with their own indigenous people. And it was actually an American businessman who went over to Honolulu in 1838 and kind of took over the land and overthrew her as queen and actually jailed her for trying to fight for her people. R is for rainforest. Letter R is rainforest that rises in the mists. It is the home of native birds and legends, songs, and myths. S is for the state song. King Kalakua wrote Hawaii Honoi. It calls upon Hawaii's sons to promise loyalty. T is for tsunami. Tsunamis do not come often to Hawaii's shores, but when they do, these giant waves rise 100 feet or more. Sometimes tsunamis can be quite dangerous, and the islands will get warning signs that one is on its way, and the people there are told to find higher ground so they can keep safe. U is for ukulele. Our U is ukulele. In Hawaiian, it means jumping flea. When you play it, fingers jump so fast on strings from key to key. Something I'd like to learn how to play. V is for volcano. Powerful shield volcanoes made our island home. Jagged a'a and smooth pa'ohoi lava spew from cinder cones. I know a'a in Hawaiian means like this slow moving lava, and so I think this other name, pa'ohoi, is the kind of lava that kind of shoots out of the volcano. W is for weather. The weather in Hawaii is always nice and warm. The sun shines bright and the winds blow cool, unless there's a storm. X is for X marks the spot. X marks the spot in the Pacific Ocean where the trade winds keep our swaying palms in motion. And so here we can see North America. This is where we live. It cut our country off, but here we are here. Michigan would be a route over here on this map. And we see Hawaii is right here. Y is for the gods of yesteryear. It took so many Hawaiian gods to govern all of life. They watched from temples made of stone through day and darkest night. Z is for the time zone. Time zone is our letter Z. Hawaiian Standard Time, they say. We see the final set of every American day. And that is the end of that. A is for Aloha.